It started on a chilly autumn morning in the countryside. George Henderson, a struggling farmer from Kent, had just finished milking his cows when he noticed the email. It was from Belworth Enterprises, one of the largest agricultural wholesalers in England. They had agreed to a lucrative contract to purchase his dairy produce, a deal that would finally pull him out of the financial rut he'd been stuck in for years. George was overjoyed. He'd been working tirelessly, waking before dawn and toiling until the sun dipped below the horizon. The contract meant he could repair the aging barn roof, buy better feed for his livestock, and maybe even replace his rusty old tractor. For the first time in years, he felt a glimmer of hope. That hope, however, would be short-lived. A week later, as George was preparing the first shipment of milk and cheese for Belworth, he received a phone call from the company's legal department. The voice on the other end was curt and formal. "Mr. Henderson, I'm calling to inform you that your contract with Belworth Enterprises has been terminated, effective immediately." George was stunned. "What? Why? There must be some mistake. I've already started preparing the shipment." "I'm sorry, Mr. Henderson," the voice replied, without a hint of empathy. "This decision came directly from Mrs. Belworth herself. I suggest you contact her office if you have any questions." George's heart sank. He knew of Eleanor Belworth, the wife of CEO Charles Belworth. She was a prominent socialite, known for her sharp wit and even sharper tongue. But why would she involve herself in his small contract? It didn't make sense. Against his better judgment, George decided to call her office. After being transferred through a maze of assistants, he finally reached Eleanor. "Mrs. Belworth, this is George Henderson," he began, trying to keep his voice steady. "I'm the farmer whose contract was cancelled this morning. I was hoping you could explain why." There was a brief pause before she replied. Mr. Henderson. Yes, I recall the matter. Let's just say it's no longer in our interest to proceed with your services." "But why?" George pressed. "I've done everything by the book. My produce meets all your standards." "It's not about the quality of your produce," she said coolly. "Sometimes decisions are made based on other factors." Her tone was dismissive, but George detected an undercurrent of unease. He decided to dig deeper. "Mrs. Belworth, I don't mean to be rude, but I have a right to know why my livelihood is being taken away. If there's something I've done, please tell me." There was another pause, longer this time. Finally, Eleanor spoke. "Mr. Henderson, this isn't about you personally. It's about a peculiar phone call I received. Someone, I don't know who, warned me against doing business with you. They claimed it would bring complications." George was baffled. "What kind of complications? Who would say such a thing?" "That's all I can say," she replied. "Good day, Mr. Henderson." The line went dead. George was left reeling. Who would sabotage his deal and why? He couldn't think of anyone who held a grudge against him. The mystery consumed him, and he spent the following days trying to piece together the puzzle. But no answers came. Then one evening, as he was locking up the barn, a sleek black car pulled up to his farmhouse. Out stepped a man in an expensive suit, his face familiar from newspapers and television. It was Charles Belworth himself. "Mr. Henderson," Charles began, extending a hand. "I'm sorry for the abrupt termination of your contract. I'd like to explain." George gestured for him to come inside. Over a cup of tea, Charles revealed the truth. "Eleanor received an anonymous call last week," he said. "The caller claimed to have evidence that you were involved in, let's just say, illegal activities." George's jaw dropped. "That's absurd. I've never broken the law in my life." "I believe you," Charles said. "But my wife is cautious. She didn't want to risk any potential scandal." "But who would do this to me?" George asked. Charles hesitated. "I have a suspicion. There's another farmer in the region, Thomas Willoughby. He's been trying to secure a contract with us for months, but his produce doesn't meet our standards. I wouldn't be surprised if he orchestrated this to eliminate competition." Fury bubbled up inside George. "So my livelihood is destroyed because of a lie?" "Not necessarily," Charles said. "I came here to tell you that I've reopened your contract. Eleanor might not agree, but I make the final decisions at Belworth. I'll also be launching an investigation into the source of that call. If Willoughby is behind this, he'll face the consequences." Relief washed over George. Thank you, Mr. Bellworth. You don't know what this means to me. As Charles left, George felt a renewed sense of hope. The ordeal had shaken him, but it also revealed the lengths some people would go to out of jealousy and greed. He vowed to rise above it, to prove that hard work and integrity would always prevail. And as the first shipment of his produce left for Bellworth Enterprises a week later, George felt something he hadn't in a long time.